It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Stroud is set again. Oh, John, boom. Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Gets Benny in the corner.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker! Kenny Walker! Touchdown! Spotty!
Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, ends up.
Yes!
Caught! Touchdown, Detroit Lions! They did it! Amon-Ra St. Brown on the receiving end!
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here! A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Good Thursday morning to you. It is the 13th day of April 2023. We welcome you here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. You can text the keyword sports radio. Send that to 21,000. Sports radio to 21000. Our Myers Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176. 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros, and, of course, good morning to our television audience as well on both BCSN and streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. Add a .com to that to find our website, and you can find us all individually on Twitter. Danny Cahalan is a Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key, and I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you. Happy Thursday. Weekend right around the corner. More high temperatures and sunshine today before next week's deep freeze takes place. How are we with this morning?
It's not supposed to be a deep freeze.
Freeze.
It's supposed to be
The
like
frozen
50s or 40s.
Frozen tundra. Only a handful of degrees above freezing. After 80 and sunny, is where we're going. What a tease this week has been.
Yeah, I was, as we were walking out of the studio yesterday morning, I said to Ryan, oh, this is one of those days your kids are going to think they're close to summer break when they have 2 months left.
Yeah, I wore shorts to school yesterday.
That's crazy. I mean, it was beautiful yesterday. Beautiful. I mean, I would trade that every day of the week for the Four Seasons. Absolutely. Without question. Not big on snow.
Well, yeah, you just don't, you feel that way. There's a lot of people that
love the seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you should take advantage of
And they're called
the
liars.
snow sports.
They take advantage of the what? The winter sports?
Yeah. I mean, I'm too scared to like ski and snowboard because we're just old and I just feel like my knees would crumble. But snowmobiling, let's do it. I'm telling you,
we're not snowmobiling
We're
as a group. We're doing.
we're planning it next year.
No, we're doing a coastal trip. The Carolinas will go all around the edge of the U.S. all the way to San Diego.
How are we going to do that? We're going to surf?
Do whatever.
Do whatever it takes?
Dune buggy. I don't know.
I'd be fine with that. I would be fine with that. Yeah, to each their own. There just isn't a lot that there's not a lot that beats yesterday. I'm sorry. It doesn't. I mean,
And today it's going to be the same weather today.
And today it is it's great, absolutely great. Get out there, swing the clubs a little bit if you can. A lot of burgers sold yesterday, a lot of steaks, people going, getting ready, firing up the grill for the first time. I just cleaned mine the other day, so I'm ready for grill season once I get past Philly cheese season, which is not going anywhere anytime soon. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready for it. Just anything summertime is fabulous for me. I don't need a lot. Just I don't need a lot. I don't ask for too much, but some decent weather and the opportunity for some activities is great. I was watching a video last night. Some random video popped up, and it was about the hidden gems in the U.S. to play golf, and it's based on course design and affordability and things of that nature. And you know what it was? It was Pilgrim's Run. It was the Mines, and then there was one other one just outside of GR. And it was all by the same designer, the course designer, Br0's maybe was his last name. But they looked awesome, and I'm like, that's the perfect way to do it on the back end of Tullymores to hit those other courses. Meyer Supercenter guest line is 248-951-2176. That's where we find the early bird. Mark in Gun Lake wants to talk about Zion. Mark, good morning to you, my friend. How are you, partner?
I couldn't call in yesterday, but I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, why is this guy sitting on the bench when the world's at risk? You know, I don't get that. The days of Al Kaline and Bill Freehan and all these guys that played for the love of the game, you know, I'm talking a different sport. I mean, even Isaiah Thomas, he didn't really make that much money until they got into the late 80s. But this guy is making just tons, and he's not helping his team. And after that loss last night, I hope the Pelicans get rid of him. I really do. He's not good for the NBA or for sports.
No, he's really not, and he's really bad for the organization because how much money did they have to invest? How much time did they invest in you? That was the big question with him coming out of college. Was he going to be disciplined enough to push himself away from the table, right? And the fact that he says he's not injured, he just doesn't feel like himself. You know, I don't know if you knew this, but and it seems to be forgotten from time to time, but Michael Jordan's not his comeback, but the second time around when he came back and played for the Washington Wizards, I believe in his final year, I think he played all 82 games. I'll double check that in the break, but I'm almost positive Michael Jordan in his final season played all 82. You don't see that very much anymore.
He was all over his teammates too when they weren't hustling, and he's trying to bust his butt getting into the playoffs. I remember him on you know, the sports channel on TV. I don't want to say their name, but anyways, you know, it's those days of these guys playing for the love of the game. I don't think it's there anymore. And you know, and what I really do like, there is always something good that comes out, you know, out of this bad situation. Is like the Lions, when they look at situations like this, they're looking for guys that have character. And I think that's the biggest thing. You know, I thought Stafford had character, even though he didn't bring the Lions to the promised land. He played hurt, and he was there every single day. You know, so it's a tough business. I know there's billionaires that run these teams, and they got a lot of money, but you got to draft guys that have character, that want to play the game for the love of the game, and not just to sit back and earn a paycheck. You know,
it's almost as if the management of the NBA, it's almost as if they are enabling this, which I think is even more preposterous. Like, what's the difference if he goes out there, if you tell him, hey, you're either going to play or you're not going to get paid? It's plain and simple. If he goes out there and his hamstring blows off for the third time, who cares? At least you know, like, hey, we gotta cut bait with this guy. Like, he literally cannot stay healthy. Like, just let it go. What are you protecting him for?
You're right. And in the past, there was the NBA, like Danny Manning, when he came out of Kansas, he blew his knee out. He did everything he could. He did everything he could to get back into that game. Like Grant Hill. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got it going on there, Mark and Gun Lake. Mark and Gun Lake might be on call right now. That's great.
No,
what industry do you work in?
And Grant Hill, those guys, they did everything they possibly could to get back into the game that they loved. You know,
Mark, what industry do you work in?
I'm waiting for my first run. I'm a bus driver for Thornapple Kellogg Schools near Grand Rapids.
Oh, man. Awesome. Well, good luck with the kiddos, man. We appreciate you. There's another job that's on the docket that people just don't They just don't give enough love to. So thank you very much. Take care of the kids. But if you got to chuck one across the across Gun Lake for misbehaving, you have my you got a pass for me, my friend. There he goes, marking Gun Lake. I love it. All right, we'll step aside. We got more text coming in. We're going to get into that Tigers game next. What in God's green? Who did A.J. Hinch send in that ball game last night? Let's talk about it here on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, a day filled with indulgence, bursting with excitement, and packed with extraordinary moments that build memories to last a lifetime. A day that is unmistakably yours, at the place that is undeniably spectacular. Whether you're winning big, dining lavishly, or relaxing oh so comfortably, it's your getaway reimagined at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huge here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids, and now they're stronger than ever before with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew. Now, Dorn Mayhew is an east side firm. Now you get the west side of Michigan with Bean Carter, and whether you're a small business or big business, they can handle all of your accounting and business needs at Bean Carter. Just go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I mentioned with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew, they cover all of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast. Find out how the pros at Bean Carter can help your business today. Go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I know Tom Rosenbach and his team are so happy about their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew.
Share your thoughts all morning long on the Meyer Guest Line. Call 248-951-2176. That's 248-951-2176. Now, back to Danny, Ryan, and AB.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you riding along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. Say good morning to you. We appreciate you. We encourage you to join the program. Text the keyword Sports Radio or call us on the Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176, 248-951-2176. Look, we are excited. I love when we get a new caller like that. Shout out to Mark in Gun Lake. That's exciting. We love it. He is a bus driver, so good luck with the kiddos, man. It ain't easy. All right, Kerry Carpenter. Who is Kerry Carpenter? Welcome. You are officially in the lineup until otherwise notified. You got to stay. I mean, not only can you hit it hard, but you hit it to where people aren't, and that's in the cheap seats, baby. I like that. I like that a lot. Yesterday, the Tigers had a game on a silver platter and up 3-1 going into the ninth. And that was that. Surrender 2 runs in the ninth, give up a run in the 10th. And instead of walking away with a win and try to feel good about yourself, you walk away with one of the like worst ways you could possibly lose a game.
I do have a question for you, and I posed this to Dan before the show. Mm-hmm. Is dominating the strike zone the next Dagger Time?
Dominating the strike zone might be the next. It is there. I don't know if it could be Dagger Time because Dagger Time's real specific. I think dominating the strike zone is such a. Oh man, what would we compare this to? It would be
Anthony.
Yeah,
they are the opposite of dominating the strike zone. I think that's what Ryan's trying to say. They had Trey, whatever his name is, who hasn't pitched in the majors since 2019.
Wingenter or Wingender?
Yeah,
Winterfresh.
Yeah. Hasn't pitched in the majors since 2019. He's in there to close the game. Blows the save. Next guy, Chasen Shreve. Had a 6.5 ERA last year with the Mets. Good choice. What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't. Why?
I think
Winterfresh.
AJ Hinch is just like on-field protesting of like, this is who you gave me. You get to live with it.
What would that be something? Because that's usually not his thing. Like, it feels like AJ Hinch cares about every game. It feels like AJ Hinch is very locked in every single game. But whoever Trey Wingstop is that's not going to work. And I don't know why that move was made in that situation. Maybe because it's a game in April and who gives a rat's behind. And if that's the case, then maybe you're not in the right, maybe this ain't for you. Maybe this is one of those things like this team is so bad, as you said, put this in your pipe and smoke it. You could fire me tomorrow and I'll be happy because there's no winning here.
My brother told me after the second game of the year that AJ would be done by the All-Star break.
Now that's a.
I mean,
why wouldn't you tell me to go get my oven mitts?
They're 2-9. They're 2-9.
Yeah, they're lucky they won those 2 games, bro. I did not expect them to win a game in the first 4 series. And like, it's not being like, I'm not saying that in jest. I'm not saying that to get people riled up. It's not a hot take. It's look at the schedule. Who are they going to beat? Maybe have to wait until Cleveland came to town to get lucky. And I don't foresee that happening.
Now, we're gonna have to ask some listeners for help on this for the next home game when they do like that promo video before the game. Do you think it's just spring training highlights?
Tough to find. It's all from the first 2 games against Houston. I think that your brother's comment on AJ will be done by the All-Star break.
Showing the gun of Spencer Torkelson's ground outs, his exit velo.
Yeah, just like they cut away before they're actually fielded. right? So you see Torque like smash it. It's like exit velo.
And it just cuts to the gun. Just
love it.
102. There's about a great exit velo from Torkelson on his pop out to first with a runner on third and one out.
And that will happen. Like, I'm okay because that stuff happens.
By the way, the Rays are 12-0 with a plus 65. The Tigers are a minus 42.
The Tampa Bay Rays are 1 win short of tying the best major league start since 1900. Think about that. Think about that. Arozarena hit a 3-run bomb yesterday, a 9-7 win over the Red Sox. How great is that? The 87 Brewers, the 82 Braves both opened up 13-0. Tampa Bay's 12-game winning streak matches the team record set back in June of 2004. That's crazy. Major League best start is 13-0. Since 1900. What do we have? We have legitimately now, once again, not trying to trigger anybody, legitimately now, we were opening the season with 4 consecutive series. And if you could throw in San Francisco there too, if you'd like, 5 consecutive 3-game series. I did not believe that this team was going to win a single game, and they have won 2. They beat Houston twice. And Wingstop did get the win against Houston in that 7-6 game that went 11. So he was credited with the win there. Came out last night throwing meatballs, and that's what you get. This is not a good team. My one player that I was really looking forward to, like, hopefully, like, come on, like, this is going to be my guy this year. He just broke his ankle. Like, who's having a worse baseball season than me? Nobody. Wow. This is terrible.
When does Javi Baez get moved down? I mean, did he get moved down yesterday? I don't think he's been lower than 4, 5 maybe.
He should bat.
Who do you move up?
I guess.
Anybody.
Well, Veerling had been pretty good. He was terrible yesterday. I think 3 strikeouts.
He's your team leader in batting average, hitting .257. That's your guy.
Nick Maton is at least showing something.
Maton has 6 RBI, 2 dingers, and hits a whopping 143.
He's got 4 or 5 hits, 2 home runs.
Good God. Here, this is the one fun highlight we can play from yesterday.
Pounded. Right center field. Big fly for Kerry Carpenter. No longer are we tied. His first bomb of the year comes in a 2-run shot here in the 7th.
I feel bad for Shep. I feel bad for Sebo. Jeez, I feel bad for our stats guy, Danny Cahalan.
Hey, the
the
new accommodations there
the Rogers Center?
At the Rogers Center pretty nice. They have like almost like a bar throughout the entire concourse or something. It looks pretty sweet.
Poutine hot dogs.
Yeah, I saw that.
What kind of hot dogs?
Gravy, cheese, fries.
Wow, they got it all.
Yeah, I saw this one, the game not yesterday, 2 days ago. There's this baseball like influencer or a big Toronto Blue Jays fan. She goes, I'll have this type of hot dog for every Toronto Blue Jays home run. They hit 5 of them.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's be out there looking like, what's his name, Joey Chestnuts. Hey, new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code HUGE. Make a $5 pregame moneyline bet and score $100 and $50. You get $100 and you get $50. You get $150 combined. Crazy. In bonus bets when your team wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now using the promo code HUGE. Get in on that offer. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 800-270-7117, 21 plus, Michigan only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Opt-in is required. One bonus bet issued based on the amount of the initial losing NBA bet. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions to apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
The 1-2. Right side, there it is! Hey, sports fans, here's a hanging curveball that you can knock out of the ballpark. This is Matt Shepard, the voice of Detroit baseball, inviting you to step up to the plate at Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile sports book where you can bet on all your favorites all year round, including, of course, our national pastime. So download the app and start winning today. Eagle Casino and Sports, made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Must be 21 years or older and in Michigan to play.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. At MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Brian Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us. No matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well, and worldwide on our YouTube page, Michigan Sports Network, as well as on the iHeartRadio app. So you can put us right in your pocket and take us wherever you may like to. And we appreciate you for doing so. All right, we talked a little bit about this yesterday in our first segment, and then we had John Wagner join us. So we stepped aside from the conversation. And I wanted to come back because for the early birds, it's a much different time than, some people catch us in the 6 o'clock hour, some in the 7, some in the 8. We spent the last segment of yesterday's show in hour 3 discussing what was happening and taking place with the Detroit Lions. So I thought that, now might be a good time to revisit this for any of our early birds out there that are listening to the show that might want to discuss what took place with the Detroit Lions and the trading of Jeff Okudah. Why this may or may not be something that they are fans of or not, and what is next, right? I think that this is all very, very important that people understand exactly what happened here. Now, some people say that I stood up for Jeff Okudah, which I very much did. I very much stood up for Jeff Okudah. I was very much willing to give the former third-round pick the benefit of the doubt that he had the skill and the talent in order to be able to take this team in that position group as a whole on his shoulders, the defensive side of the ball. Like, could he be the number one guy? We're about to find out, because very limited playing time due to injury to begin his career, a global pandemic, and here we are. Plays his first full season, showed some really good signs early on, tapered off there in the last little bit of the season to the point where he played 17 snaps against the Green Bay Packers, or 17 snaps against what was week 17, and they didn't play at all against the Packers. Now, that should be very concerning for you that he didn't play at all, because that's not what you're expecting from the number 3 pick. You are expecting the number 3 pick to walk in much like Sauce Gardner did this past year. So we know it's possible, although what he did was, uber special and hadn't been done in, 40 years almost. Right? I mean, that hadn't happened since the 80s. We talk about the 80s like they're yesterday. Newsflash, folks. 1983 was 40 years ago. That's crazy. Neither here nor there.
Oh, you want a time warp?
No.
Or something like that? If they
I don't know.
remade Fast Times at Ridgemount High and used the same time differential of when it was made compared to the class it was, it'd be about the class of 2005.
Wow. 05. I was 06. Jeez. Time flies when you're having fun. So we have Jeff Okudah, and I was all for the Detroit Lions one more year. They didn't get him on the extension, and that extension is going to be about $11.5 million. They decide to deal him, and they free up just a little bit more than $5 million now on their cap. They will carry some of his money, but they do free up $5 million, so that's good. And there were some people like, oh, my God, we got him. It's crumbs. Oh, I can't believe you traded him for a 5th-round pick. What is this GM doing? Well, a lot of you spent a lot of time telling me that Jeff Okudah was a bust and never should have been selected at number 3. And now you want to tell me that when the organization does say, you know what, we're going to move on from this guy, but we're not going to let him walk in free agency. We're going to get a pick instead. Now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I can't believe you only got a 5th. Jalen Ramsey went for a 3rd-round pick, folks. Jeff Okudah is not Jalen Ramsey. And in fact, Stephon Gilmore played better than him last year. And he went for pick number 169 overall. Okudah gets traded for pick 159 overall. Is there that big of a gap between those 10 selections? I don't know. So what I thought might be fun is because apparently nobody's got any love for 5th-rounders. Did you know Herschel Walker was a 5th-round selection? Did you know that?
Well, I mean, weren't there like 17 rounds back then?
I don't give a damn if there's 800 rounds. He was also a 5th-round selection. Like, you might have had less teams, so the rounds went quicker, but he went all the way around 5, even though he began his career in the USFL. Like, that's crazy. You know Hardy Nickerson was a 5th-rounder? Did you know that? Remember Hardy Nickerson played for the Steelers? Yes, no, maybe so. Mark Brunell, current Detroit Lions quarterback coach, led the Jacksonville Jaguars to the playoffs. He was a 5th-round selection back in 1993. Traded to the Jags in 95. Rodney Harrison was a safety for the San Diego Chargers, and then obviously with the New England Patriots, where he had a bunch of success there. 2-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion. Now moonlights on Sunday Night Football. He was a 5th-round selection out of Western Illinois. How about Joe Horn? Remember Joe Horn? Selected by the Kansas City Chiefs, played 4 years there before getting moved to the New Orleans Saints. And then I believe it was Joe Horn, if I'm not mistaken, who reached underneath the padding of a goalpost and picked out a cell phone and flipped open the flip phone as a celebration.
I mean, I know you're trying to sell us on this being a 5th-round pick, but I think we're all hoping that, a few of these will be combined and turned into something a little bigger.
Oh, did you think I was done there? Huh! Trying to convince you.
Are you going to give us some trades from the past? That would be pretty impressive.
You don't need to trade if you can get this value here. You don't need to move up if you can get the value here. That's the point. Even if they don't package it. If they did package it and move it, that's one thing. If they decide that they're not going to package it, and they're just going to take that 5th pick, selection 159 overall. My point is this, because we have no idea what Brad Holmes is going to do when it comes down to draft day and how he's going to, manipulate and move things around here a little bit. If it stays right where it is, I think fans need to realize that it's like, oh, it's not just a 5th-round pick. Like, whoever is selected there in the 5th round, then you give it 2-3 years and see if that worked. Because you know who else was selected in the 5th round? A linebacker out of Texas Tech, big school, smaller guy. Zach Thomas, 7 Pro Bowls in 13 seasons. 1,734 career tackles for Zach Thomas. The Miami Dolphins. Zach Thomas, a little bit of a comparison maybe to a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez, who was a 6th-rounder for this team. Leroy Glover, selected in the 5th round back in 96 by the Raiders. Robert Mathis was a 6th-round selection. Robert Mathis. If we end up with Robert Mathis, Kyle Williams, who spent almost 15 years in Buffalo, Richard Sherman, who I brought up yesterday because they play the same position, Hall of Fame resume, 5th-round selection. Stephon Diggs, 5th-round selection. Tyreek Hill, George Kittle. Like, there are guys to be had there that you can find. Now, sure, am I picking the best player from a range that is, spanned 30 years? Absolutely I am. I'm not going to pick a bunch of guys that didn't last long, that were 5th-round selections and couldn't cut the practice squad. But based on what we've seen with Brad Holmes, it gives you a legitimate reason to trust his judgment and evaluation, not only of talent, but also of drive. Like, James Houston might not have the greatest technique in anything outside of being that 3rd-down edge pass rusher, but damn, he's good. And he might have surprised Lions fans and people like me, but he didn't surprise the other teams. They knew he was coming, and they still couldn't stop him. They've seen him. All it took was one game, like, yeah, when he's in, this is what's happening. How do we prevent that from happening? They still couldn't get to him. So the Jeff Okudah crowd that yelled at me that he's a bust, yelled at me because I tried to stick up for the guy, because we don't even know. Jeff Okudah might go to Atlanta, and he might have a really good career there. He might finish very strong in Atlanta. And it might be the best thing that works out for both parties. That's all you can really hope. Hey, we traded you. It wasn't working here. That's fine. But you can't yell at me that he's a bust and then yell at me that, we never should have picked him 3rd overall, and then yell at me for wanting to give the guy a chance. and then turn around and yell at me for the exact opposite because we traded him. You didn't want him here anyways. You didn't like him anyways. You thought he was overdrafted. We traded him. We got something for him instead of him walking away in free agency for peanuts or for nothing. What are you yelling at me for? Who are you people? Did you make up your mind yet on what you want? Do you want him or not? Right? It's really not that hard. If you didn't like him to begin with, what's the difference? You got a 5th rounder that might turn into Richard Sherman, Zach Thomas, George Kittle, for God's sakes. It's like all you got to do from a fan's perspective. It goes back to, when Bird called us yesterday in hour 3. Bird is in that group chat. He watches this stuff. He sees the arguments. He knows what it is. And it's like, look, until that selection is made and that player is given some time as equal time to Jeff Okudah was given here, through 3 seasons, if he's no good and traded, then it wasn't really worth it. And if Okudah goes on and plays, then, hey, we lost the trade. But after 3 seasons, if this guy is on a rookie team, if this guy is leading his position group at some sort of statistical category, and if this guy's a difference maker out there on the field and earns a second contract or an extension, then yes, we won the trade. If he turns into Richard Sherman, for God's sakes, then yes, it's brilliant. And that's how I feel. Now, that's if it stays in the 5th pick. Dan brought this up. What if that 5th pick is packaged somewhere else? Well, then it really looks nice. Because let's say, for example, that 5th pick is packaged with whatever. They make it up. And let's say they go from the 5th round to the 3rd round somehow. Maybe even into the 2nd. They just dabble around and they hop on in there. They get into the 2nd round and they select the guy who's in the Rookie of the Year race. Then, yes, you win the trade. And it's as simple as that. Right? Did 5th round, did that scare you? Is that what it was? Did you hear 5 and you know that there's only 7 rounds? And that you think that 5th rounders are just some bums? Maybe you do. I don't know. I can tell you this much. Anybody selected in the NFL draft, anybody selected in the NFL draft, I don't care if you're Ryan Leaf. At one point, you were way better at that sport than anybody else who's talking about it. Way better. Oh, and by the way, there's also a completely different group of folks that go undrafted. We call them UDFAs, undrafted free agents. You can host them for visits. They come to your place. They're like, wow, I really like this team. I just need a shot. Nobody drafted me, which means I'm playing like my hair is on fire every day of the week. And then they get signed. And that's all that happens. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Do you understand what I'm saying? Does this help put everything in perspective a little bit? Yesterday, I used the example of Jamal Williams because it was brought up. What about the fans? What about the fans? You tell me, right? And I realize I love fans. I love you guys. You guys are the best. Fan is short for fanatical. When I think of fanatical, what do you think of? Like, this person's a fanatic. These people are fanatical. Like, where would you hear that word at? I love the fans. There's nothing better than seeing people walk into Ford Field and they stop by the desk. They're saying hi to Danny and they're saying hi to me and we're waving and talking and they want to take pictures. And they're swagged out. Kids got, Lions hat on and the little ones got the pom-poms in their hands and everybody's having fun. Yeah, there's nothing better than that. Dad's stressing. He's walking over to Br0's Pizza, getting a triple X large pizza for $700, and he went to the concession stand for 2 dogs and 2 pops and a little combo pack. Nothing better than that. Love you guys. The fans' opinion matters. The fans' opinion matters. What organization in their right mind? Now, bear with me here. I'm not trying to insult you. What I'm saying is this. When you, as a fan, have the opportunity to participate in the NFL draft, and run some sort of, I don't know, you're in charge of some sort of scouting for the team, when they look to you to say, who should we pick? Bill? And if Bill can't answer them, which he probably couldn't, I picked this guy. Like, no, they're not going to run a Twitter poll to see who we should select at number 6. Or should we, the Detroit Lions just tweeted out, should we stay at number 6 or trade back? Here's the offer. What do you think, fans? Nobody runs their organization like that. It's preposterous.
Well, the Mets do.
The fans have supported this team through 0-16. They've seen the darkest of times. The generation that saw them win championships is like almost gone. It's sad. The fans aren't going anywhere. I watch Pistons basketball. I'm not going anywhere. I might give up on the Tigers, but it doesn't matter. They got 150 billion games anyways. You know what I mean? Like, dude, we watch Red Wings hockey. Come on. Like, we know what bad teams are. We're still fans. We're not going to stop watching. There's always some sort of sleeper somewhere. Some kind of draft pick somewhere that is there in the 5th round. There's always going to be somebody. He might be just a guy. He might be a selection that adds depth, that can come in and give you some good work on special teams, play a few snaps on one side of the ball. It might be a really good depth piece. Maybe like, I'm not saying Dan Skipper. I'd have to look up when Dan Skipper was selected, or Evan Brown, for example. Those are just 2 quick examples off the top of my mind of a guy that if he was selected in the 5th round, you wouldn't blink twice about it, but guys that stepped in and had to play meaningful snaps on the offensive line. They take an offensive lineman in the 5th rounder, and it turns out to be one of those guys who's got some versatility. Well, and shoot, worth every nickel. Oh, and by the way, in case you were overly concerned about everything that was taking place in the Lions, because now all of a sudden, even though the guy was a bust, we're not going to win a single football game without him next year. I'm not sure if you're aware that they addressed this position this offseason in free agency. They haven't even hit the draft yet. In free agency with 3 new guys. 3 new guys. It's going to be fine, folks. It's going to be fine. So for our early bird crowd, the Okudah trade will probably end up being a net positive for the Detroit Lions because, well, in Brad Holmes we trust. Golf season's here, folks. Matt Golden and his team are ready to welcome you to one of the best golfing experiences in the great state of Michigan. Tullymore Golf Resort in Canadian Lakes offers not 1 but 2 championship courses and located smack dab in the middle of the state, about an hour north of Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant. Book your stay and play at Tullymore today by visiting TullymoreGolf.com or calling 1-800-972-4837. Hey, hour 2 is next. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here at Michigan Sports Network.
Huge here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids, and now they're stronger than ever before with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew. Now, Dorn Mayhew is an east side firm. Now you get the west side of Michigan with Bean Carter, and whether you're a small business or big business, they can handle all of your accounting and business needs at Bean Carter. Just go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I mentioned with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew, they cover all of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast. Find out how the pros at Bean Carter can help your business today. Go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I know Tom Rosenbach and his team are so happy about their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew.
Godsmack, live and in your face. Friday, May 26th at Soaring Eagle Casino, plus Bad Wolves. And same show, same night, Bullet for My Valentine. Tickets start at $28, on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. Party hard, rock harder. Godsmack, May 26th. Part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! Go! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com. At MHSAA on Twitter and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Good morning, everyone.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
How are you? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a good morning. Wake up to a brand new day. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Vietnam.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Welcome back here. Good rise and shine, folks. It's X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. So great to have you riding along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well, from Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. You can text the keyword sports radio. You can send that to 21,000 sports radio to 21000. Myers Supercenter guest line 248-951-2176, 248-951-2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros, and of course, good morning to our television audience as well. Here's a wave. You like that? To our friends at BCSN and streaming live on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. You can also add a .com to that to find our website and click the Listen Live tab there. If you would like, xbmornings@gmail.com is our fan feedback email inbox. And if you ever actually wonder why I'm waving at the camera, it's just to see the delay, right? So I wave at the camera, I take a mental picture of the time just to double check and see what the delay is from TV to when I'm talking. That's just one of those random things. Danny Cahanlin is at Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. And I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Hey, good news. And guys, I might have told you this, but my buddy's girlfriend, she told me, she's a nurse down in Northwest Ohio.
And I hate that.
No, kid.
Wow. My buddy's girlfriend told me that we are on all the TVs inside the ProMedica hospital. She's like, I literally watch you every morning. She's like, I tell everybody in here, hey, I know that guy. And they go, how do you know him? They go, oh, that's Jeremy's friend. And I said, well, howdy doody. Our good friends at ProMedica, hopefully keeping people healthy. But now it's great, man. Good morning, Anthony. This one comes from Brad. Just to be clear, at 2-9, the Tigers are still exceeding your preseason expectations of this team at your point. They're basically right where I expected them to be at this point. That's right, Brad. You are correct.
Bing bong.
They are exceeding my expectations. I did not think that they were legitimately going to win a game in the first 4 series. It's not good. I wasn't being facetious. But I'm looking at that roster, and I'm like, who's an everyday player on not on any other team in Major League Baseball? Because what's the difference? If you're a starter for the Detroit Tigers or you're in the lineup for the Oakland A's, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Could you be a starter on a playoff contender or championship level team? We don't have a single player that could. Hey, Eduardo Rodriguez had a nice game, though, last night. He did his thing. Bullpen, management choice there. A little suspect.
Who does he have, though? Told Dan, because Dan came in this morning. Like, can't believe AJ Hinch put this guy in. Like, who else is he going to put in? When you don't invest in the bullpen, what are you supposed to do when you have a lead late? Put in Zach McKinstry again?
Well, also, and I guess what I don't understand is, like, okay, so Scott Harris is pretty young. He's pretty young. Came over from the Giants.
Correct.
Okay. And they've had some success. But they've been successful for 13 years. Minimum. I mean, this is not like, it's not like, he got there and turned the whole franchise around. Like, it's something to just be acutely aware of. And if you don't do anything in the offseason, because you need to evaluate what you have, and you kind of know what you have. Like, you should kind of know, like, okay, all right, well, then we're like, okay, we'll give them a break here because, I don't know, like, how much evaluation do you need of a team right now that, once again, does not have one guy that they could feature in a lineup of the LA Dodgers, of the New York Yankees, of the Tampa Bay Rays, for God's sakes. So, I mean, that's just where I stand. And Brad, I'm glad that they're right where you thought they'd be, and they're a little bit better than when I thought they'd be. So things are looking up. All right, what else is going on in the sports world? We'll try to get you all caught up with all the happenings. We'll do so right now in the headlines.
Big news.
I have a little news flash.
Let's check the headlines. No, it's real news for once. The biggest stories of the local, regional, and national news.
This is huge news.
Huge news. The end of the season finale for the Detroit Red Wings. They will be on the road tonight in Tampa Bay. Oh, man, Tampa and Detroit. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. Huh? How about those two? 7 o'clock puck drop. Valley Sports Detroit. We say goodbye to Ken Daniels, Mickey Redmond, and the gang for the season. That's tough, but this is it. At 3 o'clock today, preceding that Red Wings Tampa Bay game, if you're really looking for something spicy, you can tune into Manchester United taking on Sevilla in the first leg of their Europa Cup game. That'll be a 3 o'clock kickoff, first leg of the home and home. That's how they do these things. And they count the aggregate score of both teams. So if you win the first game 3-1 and then win the second game 1-0, you win on the aggregate score of 4-1. It's combined. So first leg today at 3 o'clock if you want to watch the Red Devils. The Tigers, 4-3 losers yesterday in 10. They had to go to the extra frame. Toronto tied this thing up in the ninth inning and ended up winning the game, even though the Tigers were up 3-1 and had that game on a silver platter, and they blew it. Not one but two playing games last night. Chicago beat Toronto. What a game that was. Hey, wait until you hear what took place in that game. We'll get onto it a little bit later on in the show. DeMar DeRozan's daughter is actually taking center stage across social media for screaming at the top of her lungs. This screeching, piercing noise that really interfered with every single free throw that Toronto took. And that game was actually in Toronto as well. So Chicago will now head to Miami. Oklahoma City beats New Orleans 123-118. So congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is where the Pistons should be. But for whatever reason, we're like, oh, no. I heard the other day, somebody's like, it's going to take Wembanyama. I mean, look at him. He's going to take him 2 to 3, 4 years to develop. What?
2-3 days.
To develop? The guy's already got game. If you're talking about, like, maybe he'll have the muscle mass density and bone structure of Giannis Antetokounmpo because they're both 7-footers, okay, I would see more Kevin Durant. I don't think Kevin Durant's in there transforming his body. He's been the same weight since he was in college and couldn't put up the bar, the bench press. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. Get out
Kevin
of here.
Durant has probably put on a good 60 pounds. You just can't tell.
You can't tell. He's called the Slim Reaper.
He's been so skinny. He's probably put probably more than 60 pounds since college.
Guy might have Marfans, for God's sake. I know somebody has Marfans. Can eat whatever he wants because he can't gain any weight. It's crazy. Have you ever heard of that? Nuts. Jeff Bezos will not bid on the Washington Commanders, according to sources, so he is out. Probably makes the most sense because his company does have television rights. It's something about that. I feel like there shouldn't be a cross there. You don't need to own an NFL team. If you want to dump the Amazon Stream project, by all means, go ahead and dump it. But I just, something doesn't sit right there. It's kind of fishy. Saquon Barkley will not sign the franchise tag before the Giants offseason program starts, which means that he cannot participate in any of those offseason programs or workouts. This is one of two things. Either A, which I think this is what it is, he's looking for a long-term deal and doesn't want to play on the tag. Or B, he might try to pull Lamar Jackson, huh? People are telling me, like I said, Bijan, like, you can't draft a running back in the first round. Well, what if he's Saquon Barkley? What if he's Adrian Peterson? What if he's Christian McCaffrey? What do you mean you can't draft a running back in the first round? Would I draft him at 6? No, but if he's there at 18, it's going to be real hard for me not to take the man from Texas. The Colts are focused on the NFL draft and are mum on their pursuit of Lamar Jackson. It's the price is too high. That non-exclusive franchise tag really kind of boned everybody because nobody's giving up 2 firsts and paying somebody $30 million a year plus. It's not going to happen. The Islanders have claimed the final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, ending the Pittsburgh Penguins' 16-year streak. That's coming to a close. That's not good at all. Sorry about your luck. Tiger Campbell joins UCLA teammates in declaring for the NBA draft. Jaquez Jr. and Jalen Clark have also already declared. The Rays, 12-0 start, one short of tying best major league record since 1900. Congratulations to them. And Oakland's Chad Smith gets a win, even though the scorer applied a very obscure rule, because this is something that only happens in baseball, where if somebody is, he gave Urias Familia, who pitched the bottom of the seventh and was in the game when Oakland took the lead for good, could have been the pitcher of record, but the official scorer chose not to give Familia the win because he was deemed to have a short, ineffective outing. I would love a Tigers reliever to have an ineffective outing like Familia. All right, we'll step aside. We'll come back. We're going to hop into a little Lions trivia next year. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
The 1-2. Right side, there it is! Hey, sports fans, here's a hanging curveball that you can knock out of the ballpark. This is Matt Shepard, the voice of Detroit baseball, inviting you to step up to the plate at Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile sports book where you can bet on all your favorites all year round, including, of course, our national pastime. So download the app and start winning today. Eagle Casino and Sports, made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Must be 21 years or older and in Michigan to play.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street, you're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Huge here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids, and now they're stronger than ever before with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew. Now, Dorn Mayhew is an east side firm. Now you get the west side of Michigan with Bean Carter, and whether you're a small business or big business, they can handle all of your accounting and business needs at Bean Carter. Just go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I mentioned with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew, they cover all of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast. Find out how the pros at Bean Carter can help your business today. Go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I know Tom Rosenbach and his team are so happy about their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew.
Share your thoughts all morning long on the Meyer Guest Line. Call 248-951-2176. That's 248-951-2176. Now, back to Danny, Ryan, and AB.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Happy Thirsty Thursday to you. So great to have you riding along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening. Going to talk a little more Lions football. Jeff Risdon coming up 7:35 this morning. That's exciting. Danny and Ryan, I'm Anthony. And it's hour 2. It's segment 2, which means it's time for Detroit Lions Trivia. Who doesn't love that? This is great. Oh, we're going way back in the day to a Lions legend, Hall of Famer. What Big Ten school did the Lions Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive back Dick LeBeau play college football at? Mr. LeBeau played from 1959 until 1972. Went on for a very successful coaching career after that. What Big Ten school did Dick LeBeau play at? Oh. Somewhere somebody's yelling at their radio. I know that for a fact.
There's a guy maybe on hold that he might know.
Ooh, well, pot him up. Let's give him a whirl. Why not?
I don't know. Dave, you got a guess?
Dave in Hudsonville, do you have a guess? Where did Dick LeBeau play college ball at?
I like Dick LeBeau coached till he was like 80 years old in the NFL, and I remember him grabbing interceptions for the Lions, but I'm either going to say Iowa or Minnesota.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Iowa or Minnesota?
How about Rutgers?
That was not a Big Ten school back then.
Who said it was that back then?
I will say Illinois.
Illinois.
No.
Oh, man. He went and played for the Buckeyes. The Ohio State University Buckeyes. Dick LeBeau. Just another reason to hate them because they have good players.
Ooh, that wasn't even on. I was
Wow.
thinking more west or east. It's like Penn State doesn't count yet, so I'm not going to go Penn State.
Yeah, not till the 90s. Pretty crazy. Dick LeBeau was a Buckeye. Disgusting. Every time I see Jack Nicklaus now. Ugh. All right, Dave in Hudsonville. What's on your mind, partner? How the hell are you?
AB, I don't know if I can watch another Tiger game this year, and I'm ride or die Tigers, man. And the other day I said that nothing's A.J. Hinch's fault. I'm going to stand corrected because they needed a win last night. And if he just would have stuck with one of his setup men, the two setup men dominated the 7th and 8th inning. Man, somebody can get you 6 outs, not just 3 outs. And he goes to Wintenger in the 9th, and he blows up, man. And now the guy's going to be broken mentally for God knows how long. But we just needed a win, and we're now looking at probably 100 losses. But I just wish Hinch would have modified his approach instead of 7, 8, 9 with different people. Let one of the two setup men get 3 more outs when we win that game.
But you can't go more than an inning as a setup man or as a closer, and you can't pitch more than 5 innings if you're a starter. There's rules to this. They make you sub out guys that are playing well.
It just pisses me off. It upsets me because as a manager, that team needs a win or two. It's still early in the season. You got to know that, and you may have to modify your approach and what you want to do on a consistent basis in order to get that. And the second thing is, let's go pick up a veteran closer then. It doesn't even have to be a stud because this is not a stud team. I mean, this is Miggy's golden parachute year. And I love Miguel Cabrera, but at the end of the day, we're paying him a lot of money for some occasional hits. It's a Hall of Fame career, one of the best ever, but he's overpaid at this stage of his career because of whatever goes on. And so now we're going to watch bad baseball all year, waiting for Miguel to exit the door and then, go in here. But at least go out and get a run-of-the-mill closer who can come in and throw strikes and win a few games when you have a chance.
Dave, I got a question. You started this off like ride or die Tigers fan, and 11 games in, you're out? That's not ride or die, Dave. That's not ride or die. That's sunshine and rainbows, Dave. That's what that is. Come on. Dave, I'm a ride or die Pistons guy. I watched them all season. They suck.
Yeah, see, there's a choice. I'll watch the Tigers, but right now, AP, you can be ride or die, and if you watched them all season, that's on you.
It's because that's what I am. I'm riding with them.
Watch them too. But I mean, that's like going back and trying to hang with the girl that broke up with you, and you still want to date, and it's like she wants nothing to do with you.
Hey, you never know. You might get lucky, get some action.
Yeah, well, and look how it worked out for you.
I got a little action. That's how it worked out. Was it worth the pain and suffering? Sure.
Did the Pistons give you a little action? I mean,
yeah, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren gave me more than just a little action. I'll tell you that much. I love those guys. I can't. The future's so bright. I can't wait to get the number 1 pick. All the haters say we're not going to get it because there's no way they would give Detroit 2 number 1 overall picks in however many years. They gave Cleveland 3 out of 4. So, yeah, it's our turn now. It's time to right the ship.
Tell Ryan to run out and get you some shade because the future is so bright. You need some shade,
right.
Man.
That's right. I like that. Dave?
All right, guys. Have a good day.
All right, partner. We appreciate you. There goes Dave in Hudsonville. I did see this just now on Twitter. I wanted to share this with you. Michigan beer taster tweeted at Freddie the Pizza Man, there is a select that believe pineapple on pizza is wrong, but they are stupid, so disregard their opinion. And Freddie said, I don't think he or others refer to the pineapple. They think it's burnt in regards to Freddie's Pizza. Now we have people who make 5 pizzas a week at home who tell me it's burnt. After I've already made 1 million pizzas while actually owning a business, there's a big difference. Look, I had to comment on this because, first off, the pineapple on pizza debate is just one of those things it's like people want to get worked up over, but it really doesn't matter because it's personal preference. Like if you like mushrooms on your pizza or pineapple on your pizza, pepperoni, sausage, ham, you want the 3 meat.
Anchovies.
Anchovies. If you like anchovies, any other topping that you could think of that you'd want to put on your pizza is totally up to you because that's how you like it. I get what Freddie's saying here. This is the same thing as a person that wants to walk in and get like a Delmonico steak or a New York strip, and they go get A1 sauce or ketchup. And I've said this for years. Like there is a young man who wants his steaks he wants them black on the outside and brown on the inside. Like not a hint of juice, not a hint of red. Like he just wants this thing. It look like blackened catfish at that point. Yeah, that's probably not the best way you want to eat steak. If you want to chew that beef jerky, by all means, go right ahead. But, and as I often say, and that everybody gets in their feelings, it feels like I'm being disrespectful. What you need to do is just go buy a hamburger. That's all you need. Go buy a hamburger. It's way cheaper. And you're getting the same result. You're just charring the hell out of it. Like the point of purchasing a steak is in order to cook the steak and to be able to enjoy its natural flavors, even without a sauce. Like you should be able to cook a steak and put it down on your plate and be able to eat it just like it is. And the steak and the marbling in the steak will provide enough juice that you won't need an au jus or a dipping sauce. Now, don't tempt me with a Br0's because I love that. I'm all over that. Send that my way 10 times out of 10, and I'm eating it. You know, do a little Oscar, do a lump crab on top. Absolutely, I love that stuff. If you want to use a zip sauce, if you like to cook with the rosemary, the garlic, and the butter, I would love to try your steak if you cook it. That's totally fine.
That's all you need.
Preference.
Salt, pepper, rosemary, butter, garlic. That's all you need.
I mean, that like the cast iron skillet, what I've been seeing lately on the internet, I mean, the other day I about licked my phone. This guy was cooking a tomahawk, so the bone-in ribeye, and he had seared it, and then afterwards he was just like scooping the rosemary garlic butter sauce on top. He's just continuously scooping it on. And the steak was just like, oh man, it was like my mouth was watering. I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I eat my phone right now or not? Will I be able to taste it? That's all I want. That's all personal preference. People get in their panties about all kinds of random stuff like, oh, yeah, pineapple on pizza. It's fine. It's fine. Use a little sweetness there if you want. If that's what you want, then that's what you want. What are you going to do? I'm not going to be mad at you for it. Hey, folks, a reminder. Tullymore Golf Resort in Canadian Lakes, Michigan, offering out 1x2 championship courses. We love Tullymore here on the show. It's up north golf without the drive, and it's centrally located in the middle of the state that it's only a couple hours to get to, no matter what corner you are coming from. What you need to do is visit TullymoreGolf.com, TullymoreGolf.com, or call 1-800-972-4837, 1-800-972-4837. Ask for Matt Golden and tell him we sent you to Tullymore. Let's step aside. Let's talk a little NFL football in Detroit Lions with our good friend Jeff Risdon. That's coming at you next here on X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! Go! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
If you or your family is touched by autism, learn more about Freddy's Foundation at #PopTheTap at FreddyThePizzaman.com. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com, or email FreddyThePizzaman@gmail.com.
Huge here for all the Mr. Car Wash locations across Michigan. You're going to want to look into that unlimited monthly pass that I use. Superfly Hayes, my producer, uses it. I can get my SUV washed as often as I like for one low price. You can sign up today. Just go to MrCarWash.com or stop by your local Mr. Car Wash location here in Michigan for the one close to you. And to get that unlimited pass, go to MrCarWash.com.
Imagine this, a day filled with indulgence, bursting with excitement, and packed with extraordinary moments that build memories to last a lifetime. A day that is unmistakably yours, at the place that is undeniably spectacular. Whether you're winning big, dining lavishly, or relaxing oh so comfortably, it's your getaway reimagined at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Great to have you right along with us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio. It's Danny Cahalan and Ryan Elke. I'm Anthony Bellino. Join us now on the Meyer Supercenter guest line. Our good friend, managing editor of the Lions Wire and the Draft Wire, our good friend, Jeff Risdon. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Risdon. Jeff, good morning to you, my friend. Before I ask you, how are you? How are the kiddos?
Oh, man, it's nonstop, dude. That's the way it goes. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for having me.
You're part parent, part Uber driver at this point in your life, so that's good to hear. Now, you did have a little bit of a shift in your career. Give us the details of what's new, and will we still get our NFL Daily Dime on Mondays?
Oh, yes, we will.
Okay.
I am now I moved on to I no longer cover the Cleveland Browns. I gave that up, and I moved on from Real GM, but I will be I am the new managing editor for Draft Wire at USA Today, which is basically a lifelong dream job. I got into this career industry over 20 years ago with the goals of becoming a full-time NFL draft writer, and I've achieved that, and I'm very happy about that. I love the NFL draft. The draft weekend is my favorite weekend of the year. Specifically, draft Saturday, the third day of the draft, is my favorite day of the year, and I get to celebrate that now and do it year-round. So that's amazing for me. I am still covering the Lions, obviously, between Lions Wire and the Detroit Lions podcast, and you hear me on the Huge Show quite a bit too. But things are going on, and you will still see the 10 cents. It is being, let's just say, things are being done that will ensure that it will reappear somewhere else.
Awesome. And you know what? You said lifelong goal, studio audience. They were on their feet. I said, calm down, studio audience. Let's wait till he finishes. Then they can get in here. But we love that for you, my friend. And as always, appreciate you being so generous with your time. The Lions, speaking of the draft, they acquired another draft pick, a fifth rounder in the upcoming NFL draft from Atlanta in exchange for cornerback Jeff Okudah. This news comes across. What do you see? What do you make of the deal? How do you think the Lions fared? Albeit we have no idea who is going to be that fifth round selection.
Yeah, and I don't think that you can make the fifth round selection as a straight, apples to apples replacement for Jeff Okudah. I think they have other things in mind. I think they're going to take his replacement long before that, perhaps even with their first pick at number 6 overall. For Okudah, I like it for him. He needed to get out of Detroit. It was clear that he wasn't in the long-term plans, just the way that, they signed all these guys this offseason. Granted, there's not much of a commitment to any of them but Cam Sutton, but it was clearly that they weren't going to pick up his fifth-year option. He was going to be playing out for his next contract, which was going to be somewhere else. The Lions nipped that in the bud and preemptively traded him away. It's less compensation than I would have liked, but there was a $5 million salary that was hanging over it, and the Atlanta Falcons were going to have to pay that. Now, it turns out the Lions are paying some of that salary. When that quite frankly, that bothers me a little bit, but that might have been a precondition for getting the trade done. It was, and that value, it also shows you where his perception is around the league. The league doesn't care that the Lions took him third overall. They care if he can play now. And has he shown that he can play now? Maybe, not really. Certainly not stay healthy. And I think that's, as sad as it is to say, that was probably the fair market value for what Jeff Okudah is to the NFL right now.
I tried to bring this up and tried to give the folks some perspective here because for a majority of Jeff Okudah's tenure in Detroit, I was being yelled at because he was overdrafted at third overall. He was a bust. He's this, that, and the third. It's like, well, the guy's not on the field. So until he gets on the field and gives us a full season, I don't know what to tell you. But I was willing to be patient with him. Now that he gets traded, Jeff, they're yelling at me because he got traded for a fifth-round pick. And I'm like, what do you people want? Like, was he a bust or was he not a bust? Because if he's a bust and you're going to let him walk anyways, you might as well get something for him. And you get pick 159, which is 10 slots better than what Stephon Gilmore went for. So I think all in all, you look at some of the great fifth rounders. It's not like it's bereft of talent or anything like that. And I think we put our trust if the pick stays where it's at. Now, if they package this and move around, then it's absolutely worth it. But if the pick stays where it's at, then we have to even wait even longer to see who is selected and what their impact might be on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go back to the trade value thing, you can't keep screaming, this guy sucks, he's awful, he's a bust, and then get upset when he's traded for relative peanuts. Like, you understand that you're talking about both sides of your mouth or other orifices of your body at that point. Like, you got to be consistent about it. Like, you can't. That just frustrates me about fans. I'm with you on that one. But yeah, the fifth-round pick, last year they did a pretty good job in the late rounds, and I think they will be mining those things again. They're going to have a chance to get a player who probably is going to contribute only on special teams as a rookie, just in that point of the draft. And this is something, and this is something that we've talked about on the Detroit Lions podcast, is you've got to be prepared. Anybody who's drafted this year, even the number 6 pick, they might not start this year. And that's a good thing. That's a reflection on where this team is at. They don't need immediate impact talent. They're a good football team right now, especially the way they finished last year. They could probably use another starting defensive tackle. That's probably not going to come at number 6. They can use an outside cornerback if Emmanuel Mosley isn't healthy, but if he's healthy, they're good there. They could maybe use an upgraded tight end, but they're certainly not using one of their first couple picks on that. Like, there's not a lot of open starting spots on this roster. This is a draft where you're looking more long term. You're drafting for 2024, 2025, and beyond. And I think that's the mindset that you have to go into this draft with. And that 5th round pick that they picked up, look, that pick was already traded once. The Jaguars traded that to Atlanta for Calvin Ridley. I think you're going to see maybe it get packaged again, and the Lions could trade it somewhere else and get combine a 5th and a 6th to move up in the 5th or late into the 4th or something like that. I actually thought that's what was going to happen with Jeff Okudah. He was going to be like a deal pot sweetener. They just got out ahead in front of it, but they could use the pick that they got from him for the same purpose and move up, 15 to 20 spots in the draft somewhere. I think that's probably the most likely thing. There are not that many open roster spots on this roster. They have 9 picks now. I dare you to find 9 players that are on the 53-man roster right now that aren't good enough to come back. It's a very interesting spot to be in. It's a very different spot than what we've been used to in Detroit for a long time, and it's going to take some fans longer than others. It's going to take a change in mindset to understand that you're not living for your draft picks, your first 4 draft picks. They don't have to start right away. They might not play a lot right away. That's going to be weird, but that's the point of having a good football team, is that you don't have to keep replacing these guys over and over and over again, and start Amari Spivey at safety, even though he can play at all. Like, you don't have to risk that, and I like that. But it is going to take some fan accommodation to get used to that.
And for the fans, I mean, we do have now 2 5th-rounders and 2 6th-rounders. So you talk about maybe packaging to move up a little bit. We do have, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a 3rd, 2 5ths, and 2 6ths. So that's where the cupboard is not bare. Jeff, I've talked a little bit about this in regards to Okudah and having faith in Brad Holmes. One of which, because the latter rounds of last year, most notably James Houston and Malcolm Rodriguez, come in and are impactful players right off as soon as they become available. Obviously, Houston took some time to get all the way healthy, but then once he was in, it's like, wow, this guy does one thing. He does one thing really, really well. We'll worry about the rest of it, but he can get to the quarterback. He's got great bend, right? That's what we like to say now, bend. I mean, he runs around the edge with his shoulder pads on the ground. It's incredible. I couldn't do that right now. My whole body they'd have to gurney me off the field. But I use that, and then I also pair that with Jamal Williams. And here's a guy who's a fan favorite, who I feel like in years past, fans really love him. Maybe we re-sign him. Maybe we give him a little bit more because of what he did for this team and the shift in the culture and how important he was. But then I look at Brad Holmes, and say, all of that considered, he still moved on. He got better at that position. He got younger at that position. And with David Montgomery, a much better offensive line, we should see a huge uptick in his production. Like, I say all of that to say this. We finally have adults in the room who I think our fan base can legitimately trust with their organization in their hands.
Absolutely. And the Jamal Williams thing, based on what Brad said at the owners' meetings, they offered Jamal the deal that David Montgomery took. Jamal's agent balked at it, thought he could get more, and got burned. Jamal Williams needs himself a new agent. That was not a Lions issue. That was a Jamal agent issue. He could have been back if he wanted to be for the exact deal that they signed David Montgomery for. And you're right. Montgomery is a better all-around player, probably not as good in short yardage situations. Few are, but they got younger and they didn't get more expensive. I like that. There's so many competent things that they're doing that it actually like raises little flags when they do. Like they extended Jack Fox, or they restructured the punter's contract. Like, why do you do that? Like that's something that like if Bob Quinn or God forbid Tom Lawan before him would have done something like that, you would have been like, what are they doing? But now it's just sort of like water off a duck's back, man. You're like, okay, they got a plan here. Let's see what they do with this extra money, because they pushed a lot of money on the punter. They do weird things, but it seems that they have a focus for it, and that we are going to trust what they're doing, because what they've done, by and large, is working very, very well. And that's, again, it takes a fan sea change shift of attitude to accept the fact that maybe, by God, we hired the right people for once, because it's been a very long time since we've seen that in Detroit, in really any sport.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And, you talk about the punter. It's like, yeah, we signed the punter, the highest paid punter in the league, and then all of a sudden, we don't even punt. 4th and 12 from our own 26. We're not even punting. We're going for it. Like, all right, I guess, whatever. Hold on to your butts. So let's get into the draft a little bit. If the Lions have no movement whatsoever, let's just say they stay put, because that's the easiest way to do this. They stay put at 6 and at 18. On your grocery list of who Jeff Risdon wants the most at 6 and 18, and let's say they're available, who would you take?
At 6, I'm taking Will Anderson, and I do think that there is a chance that he's on the board. Although recent developments with what's going on at number 1 and number 2 probably wipe that away, because I think Bryce Young's going number 1, and I think Will Anderson's going number 2 to Houston. And I wrote about that yesterday at DraftWire, if you want to see the ramifications for it and why it goes to the what happens with the Lions on it. Will Anderson would be great. I would be perfectly happy with Devon Witherspoon. I think he is an absolute ideal fit for what Aaron Glenn wants in his defensive backs, and the type of player that Dan Campbell is going to love. And for the people that think he's too small, he is literally the exact same size as Darrelle Revis, like to the pound, to the ounce, and to the half inch. He's 5'11 and a half, 184 pounds. Don't tell me it can't be done. There's people, again, Lions fans stress about the weirdest things. Like, if he was a half an inch taller, you'd be like, oh, he's a great prospect. But because he's 5'11 and a half and not 6 feet, y'all are freaking out. Y'all got to get a grip on these things. Like, it's really not that huge of a deal. As long as you can play. The important part is, can he play football? Yes, he can. If you watch what he did against Michigan last year, you know he can play and play very well in the exact style that the Lions want. So that would be my choices at 6. 18, you get down there. If they take a pass rusher, Deonte Banks out of Maryland as a cornerback, he's like the up-and-coming version of Devon Witherspoon. He doesn't have as much experience, but he does have the length. He does have the measurables that portend greatness. And I will tell you, standing in front of his interview podium down in Indianapolis at the Combine, that's a Dan Campbell. That's a guy that has grit like tattooed on his forehead. So he would be great. That 18 spot is a tough one. Offensive line makes a lot of sense, especially, like we talked about, they are looking for the future. That's a weird spot for offensive line, though, because a lot of the good guys are going to be gone. Like, I know there's a lot of people that like Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. I do, too. I think he's going number 9 to Chicago, and I don't think he's going to last to 18. So there's that range. I'm praying that they trade back, honestly, if they can do something there. It's too early for a quarterback, even Hendon Hooker, who I do happen to like. That's too early for him in my book, for a guy that's 25 and not going to be able to play or practice until he's on the JMO schedule from last year, where you don't see him until Thanksgiving. I'd rather not spend another first-round pick on that, even with the long-term focus, just because he is that much older. And there are some questions about his college offense, too. But, yeah, 18, I'm a pretty open book. But 6, give me Will Anderson or give me Devon Witherspoon. Maybe, you know what, I'm just going to stick with those 2.
Now, if at 18, Bijan's still there, do you take him? Come on, let's just live in fantasy land for a second. People are like, oh, I can't believe you of all people running backs. Because I know, dime a dozen, I get it. shelf life's not very good. I understand that too. I also understand guys like Adrian Peterson exist. Christian McCaffrey exists. What is Bijan? Could we get him if he's there at 18? Would you pull the trigger?
So what you're asking is the extra 10 to 15 yards a game over the top of what David Montgomery produces worth that much to bring in Bijan Robinson? I think it might be. But I will say this is a ridiculously deep running back class. Jahmyr Gibbs would have been the number one back in every other draft since Saquon Barkley. He's that good. Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, formerly from Michigan, is a really high-end prospect. Doesn't have breakaway speed, but he does everything else exceptionally well. Ty J. Spears out of Tulane. Like, there are so many great running back prospects in this draft that, if Bijan was an isolated incident, if he was like that freakish of a talent above everybody else, I would do it. But because you can get guys later that are going to be really close to just as good, in my opinion anyways, I can't do it. But he's tough to pass up, man. He is really, really good. I will say this, in watching his tape, I'm old enough to remember Eric Dickerson. He reminds me of Eric Dickerson. And I lived in Indianapolis when Eric Dickerson was with the Colts. That was a very fun time. And he made a really bad overall football team watchable and tolerable because of his skills. And I think Bijan can be that kind of guy. But I don't know, man. That's a really tough sell because of how good the other guys are in this class. Not any reflection negatively on Bijan.
Oh, and all right. Do you see, or is there a way that the Lions could do something like what Miami did with Philadelphia, where you could move back from 6 and drop a few spots in that first round, maybe have to, supplement that with one of the 5th rounders in order to move back in the first and acquire a first for next year?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that they're going to consider doing that. If you get a chance to slide back a few spots and punt your second first-round pick the next year, do it. It's a good idea because next year you're going to know whether you need a quarterback or not. Like this year, they don't need a quarterback. Jared Goff, he's perfectly fine. If Goff continues to be fine, then you don't need a quarterback next year, and you've got more team-building, fodder in the cannon. If you do need one, you've got more cannon fodder to shoot up the draft board and maybe get a guy like Drake May or Caleb Williams or whoever the flavor of the month will be next year. I like that idea a lot, and quite frankly, I hope that Brad Holmes likes that too.
See, look at us. Look at us. Me and you, Jeff. We're like 2 peas in a pod, like peanut butter and jelly. He's Jeff Risdon. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Risdon. Find him here on the Michigan Sports Network, all over the place. Read his work at the Draft Wire. Jeff, is always, my friend, thank you so much for your time this morning, partner. We greatly appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend, my friend.
My pleasure. Make it a great day, guys. Thanks.
There he goes. All right, a lot of possibilities there. That I think that moving back from 6 is something that is very, very possible. If Will Anderson's there, it doesn't happen. Witherspoon might make you scratch your head a little bit, right? Might make you wonder, but that's possible.
What makes you salivate more, that steak on a cast iron or Will Anderson paired up with Aiden Hutchinson?
Anderson and Hutchinson is like 2 steaks on the cast iron with the rosemary butter garlic. We'll be back with more X's and Bros. Hour 3 is next. Michigan Sports Network.
In the den. Hey, sports fans, here's a hanging curveball that you can knock out of the ballpark. This is Matt Shepard, the voice of Detroit baseball, inviting you to step up to the plate at Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile sports book where you can bet on all your favorites all year round, including, of course, our national pastime. So download the app and start winning today. Eagle Casino and Sports, made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Must be 21 years or older and in Michigan to play.
No one feels sorry for you in sports. Everyone knew how challenging the Tigers' schedule was when it was first released. They're in the midst of a 31-game stretch of facing teams that finished 500 or better in 2022. Tonight is the last game of the series in Toronto, a team that brings as much thump to their lineup as any team in the sport. They want a title. When the Giants come to Comerica this weekend, they want to show the NL West is not just the Dodgers and Padres. And then the Guardians come calling, and they always love beating up on their division rivals. Time to stop respecting the daunting opponents and start forcing them to take notice of what we hope will be an upcoming team in the AL Central. The Tigers need to start turning things around, and it needs to start quickly.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! Go! No, first base!
Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street, you're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Spin the money wheel and win up to $100,000 cash. Every Saturday in April from 5 to 11 p.m. One winner each hour will spin for the win and take home up to $100,000. Whirl in for $100,000 money wheel. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Huge here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids, and now they're stronger than ever before with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew. Now, Dorn Mayhew is an east side firm. Now you get the west side of Michigan with Bean Carter, and whether you're a small business or big business, they can handle all of your accounting and business needs at Bean Carter. Just go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I mentioned with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew, they cover all of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast. Find out how the pros at Bean Carter can help your business today. Go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I know Tom Rosenbach and his team are so happy about their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew.
It's time for Michigan Sports Talk Morning Show, broadcasting live all across the state of Michigan and Northwest Ohio. This is X's and Bros.
Swings it out to Sadiq Bey. Defended in the corner.
To Abdul-Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole. Here's the give. Walker. Kenny Walker. Touchdown. Spotty.
Goff's got it. Back. Looks. Throws. Ends up.
Yes.
Caught. Touchdown Detroit Lions. They did it. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the receiving end.
Sends one to deep left center field. Back it goes, and that ball's out of here. A grand slam from Miguel Cabrera. He's got 2 goals. Larkin in on goal. Scores! His first career hat trick in his 7th season for Dylan Larkin.
Here's your host, Anthony Bellino.
Rise and shine, folks. Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you. Join the program at any time. You can text the keyword sports radio, send that to 21,000, sports radio to 21000. Meyer Supercenter guest line 248-951, 2176-248-951, 2176. We're on Twitter at XB Mornings, Facebook, X's and Bros. And of course, good morning to our television audience as well. BCSN on Buckeye Broadband and streaming worldwide on our YouTube page at Michigan Sports Network. Add.com to that to find our website. You can email us, xbmornings@gmail.com, or you can hit us up individually on Twitter. Danny Cahalan is at Dan in the studio. Ryan Elke is at RyanL_Key. And I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Let's hit that Meyer Supercenter guest line. That's where we have USDA Scott, who is on hold. Good morning to you, Scott. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on over there? How are you?
Hey, I usually call twice a day. I'm sorry about my third call, but when you were talking beef and then you were talking about ketchup and A1, just short little story. My wife of many years now, when I first brought her to Christmas dinner, and let me give you a little background. My father was, you probably don't remember this company, Harrod and Sons in Detroit, and I know your uncle does, and your uncle probably knew my dad. But he was a sales director for them, and then he was the regional sales director for Kroger, Michigan, for years and years. So he was born and bred meat. And my wife came over for Christmas dinner for the first time, and my dad babied the standing rib roast. He had a thermometer in the middle, and he had a thermometer on top. It was 220 on the outside, 190 on the inside, and beautiful red. And my wife asked for ketchup. The first time I said, "Oh man, my dad's gonna say I can't marry this girl."
Yeah, it's bold, and I'm one of those people. Hey, to each their own. You could have just had a hamburger, though. It would have been a whole hell of a lot cheaper. Because at that point, you're tasting all you're doing is you're buying something to put ketchup on. Like you put ketchup on chopped potatoes for French fries. Like that's. And what
then
you
were talking. You were talking the other day about early golf round. My first 2 rounds I always play because I'm not a driving range guy. The only thing I do at the driving range is I'll go hit a few to stretch out, and it's always drivers. So my first 2 rounds I just bring irons. I just bring my irons. I played at Miss Julie Cousins golf course, and I got a great house for you on Clearbrook there down by Saugus, right by the lake. You have the Lake Michigan in your front yard and the golf course in your backyard, and it's only about $2.6 million, but it's perfect for you, Anthony.
$2.6 million?
Yeah. Huh?
That's in the neighborhood of what, like 15,000 a month? Like, I don't think so, Tim. Jim, I don't know about that.
I'll give you Julie's number. Maybe you can get a better deal.
There we go. Now we're wheeling and dealing. I like that. First couple rounds, just you don't focus on the score. You just want to get out there and swing it, enjoy the walk, enjoy the weather, and just enjoy being back out there on the course.
I missed a 3-footer on 16 and a 4-footer on 18. And using all irons, I was pretty happy. I shot 84. I should have shot 82, but I was pretty happy with swinging it that way. But early season, I'm not trying to turn it every direction, and I'm not trying. you know what early season is? It's just
you just want to make contact.
Yeah, you're not trying anything extra. You're not trying to, and I'm not my driver. I'm a 260, 265 guy off the tee. I'm not the 300 guy. I never have been. But
TaylorMade Stealth. That's all I can tell you. TaylorMade Stealth. Change the game. I'm telling you, people think I'm nuts. Everybody I've told to hit that driver who's hit that driver, they've been like, "Holy bleep!" I'm telling you, bro.
I will tell you this. I hope Mom and Unc are prepared. I'm still hearing stuff about beef shortages this summer.
Oh yeah, 20,000 cattle just died.
I know. I want to
suspicious.
I wanted to cut my tongue off when I told my buyer to buy extra tenderloin and put them in the freezer. I almost killed myself, but I'd rather have them than not have them.
Rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. USDA Scott, man, appreciate the call this morning.
See you guys.
See you later. Freddie is on hold. Let's talk a little Lions, a little Okuda, a little burnt pizza. Good morning, Mr. Pizza Burner. How are you?
Yesterday I missed a 7-footer to shoot a 71.
You missed a 7-footer to shoot 71. How many holes did you play?
18.
I've shot a 71 on putt-putt as well.
What's going on, Freddie? How are you this morning?
I was just referring to Scott's golf. I don't hit it. I hit it to 65. I missed an 18-footer. Oh, my God. Put it on Twitter, please. Put it on Twitter. Anyways, AB, you got to be careful what you say. I got moles that listen to the show.
Good. Where are these moles? I got moles in my backyard. I'm fishing them out right now as we speak.
No, you didn't say anything bad. You just contradicted yourself. But
when? Where?
First of all, good morning.
Good morning.
I will tell you honestly, I have not. Someone told me you and Danny and Brighton were making fun of me the other day. I have not listened. I'll be honest with you. I'm not looking for sympathy, but my mom's been really sick. I told you guys once before, so it's turned into a nightmare. So I haven't had passion to listen. But this morning I listened a little bit because my son got up early and I had to take care of him. So, but I want to talk to you. But first of all, today you mentioned people are upset because Okuda a 5th-round pick. I'm just curious, where are you seeing that at? Because no one questions what Brad Holmes does, number one. Number two, I didn't see anybody mad that they got a 5th-round pick. Nobody. I don't see where you're seeing that. Who's mad that the Lions got rid of Jeff Okuda and got a 5th?
John Johnson's mad.
At the end of the year?
John Johnson is mad.
Who's John Johnson?
Guy in a group chat.
Okay.
A guy in a group chat who's going nuts because the Instagram comments under the Bleacher Report Instagram posts, people, I can't believe we got peanuts for him. All a bunch of randos on Instagram. That's what it is.
Well, see, now from everything I've heard from behind the scenes, and I got a few sources. You got a ton of sources. I got a few. Everything I've heard, he's been a bad apple since they've drafted the guy. Pretty much a bad apple. Aubrey Pleasant pretty much depanced him on the sideline. He got benched at the end of the season. Anytime you ask Dan Campbell about him, he doesn't really talk glowingly about him. So, and then, if I'm wrong, if people think I'm wrong, then all you have to do is see his tweets, his smirking emoji when he got traded. It told you everything. He didn't thank the fans. He just sent a smirking emoji. So, to me, you know, he has been a bust since they drafted him. I heard you this morning make all these excuses, COVID, you give him time, and then someone tells me you and Danny were making fun of Malik Willis. The kid hasn't even played, but you want to call him a bust, and blah, blah, blah. But it's okay. I think you know,
Hey, Freddie, Freddie, can you hold on and we'll come right back to you?
I put him on hold.
Okay, all right, good deal. We'll be right back with more X's and Bros after this here on the Michigan Sports Network.
The 1-2. Right side, there it is! Hey, sports fans, here's a hanging curveball that you can knock out of the ballpark. This is Matt Shepard, the voice of Detroit baseball, inviting you to step up to the plate at Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile sports book where you can bet on all your favorites all year round, including, of course, our national pastime. So download the app and start winning today. Eagle Casino and Sports, made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Must be 21 years or older and in Michigan to play.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street, you're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
From planting a simple seed to managing a global food supply, growing, processing, and distributing food is the backbone of America. You deal with food safety and labor issues, cost control, and not to mention Mother Nature. But do you have time to explore research development and biotechnical tax credits? Properly administer payroll for temporary employees. Ensure that you're operating at your most profitable? That's where we come in. We're Bean Garter. And while your business is America's food supply, our business is helping you run your business better. We'll assist with tax credits, assess your processes and controls, and so much more. And while we may not be able to help you plant your crops, we can help you realize a rich financial harvest. From the family farm to worldwide distribution of all the things you grow, grow your business better. Experience service, expertise, and simplicity at Bean Garter. Find us online, beangarter.com. Bean Garter.
You're listening to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Can't call in? Text us using the keyword sports radio and send it to 21000. Or tweet us at XB Mornings. Now back to Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, and Anthony Bellino.
A reminder, basketball fans, new customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE, make a $5 pregame moneyline bet, and score $150 in bonus bets if your team wins only at DraftKings. Now, if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline at 800-270-7117. 21 plus Michigan only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Opt-in is required. One bonus bet issued based on the amount of the initial NBA losing bet. Eligibility, wagering, deposit restrictions to apply. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Welcome back here to X's and Bros. Is Freddie still on hold over there, Dan?
He is.
All right, let's get right back to Freddie. Freddie, hello.
Next time, please, please, cut me off. I know you got to do that spot before you go into your next segment. So just
you're important to me, Freddie. I can't cut you off. You're important.
I don't get it. I'm not important to you. Get out of here.
You're important to me.
When I call. You loathe when I call, but it's
I
okay.
love it.
I gotta keep you on your toes because your other callers, they all agree with you. That's all they do is agree with you. But
it's hard being right all the time, Freddie. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I come to learn. I come to learn. See, I can't. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm the type of person, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I tell you like it is. I'm very honest. I'd rather tell you than say it behind your back because it's not who I am. My thing is I've learned with you as long as I've been listening to this show since Shep back to 15 years ago, and every time I see Shep now calling the entire game, I see his face like he wants to start talking sports again on the radio. When the Tigers are losing 8-0, it's like he wants to take a call from Edward talking about Stafford. I just that's what happens when I see Shep on TV. That's how I picture it. But anyways, I've come to learn with you that I like you more than I like talking Lions with you because, realistically, I can't have a fair Lions conversation with you because you really don't say much. You can't say much. I get it, and I really do. I mean that from the bottom. I get it, but see, I'm glad Jeff Okudah's gone, and I know I sent you a text while I was making pizza the other day when the news came down. I sent a text to this show saying now you can basically say he was benched, when you couldn't say it before. Now you can say it because he's long gone. I'm glad he's gone. Jeff Okudah, he was a bust. And ultimately, the people that are complaining that he's gone, you should be happy he's gone. He had no future here. You didn't want to give this guy $11 million. Just move on and draft a guy that you're going to pay a couple $1 million to and develop him. He wasn't our guy. So I'm glad he's gone, and I hope he goes elsewhere and does well. But from the attitude he's got, he ain't going to go else, and he's not going to go somewhere else and do well because the attitude doesn't change from city to city. It just doesn't. Maybe he'll find that coach that'll finally check him. But I'm glad he's gone. And ultimately, what fans don't realize is the Jeff Okudah thing is ultimately it was the owner's fault. It really was. I mean, we got Jeff Okudah because I know it's not popular to dog the owner nowadays because they're actually doing a little bit, even though they haven't won. But ultimately, she made a huge mistake giving two lame duck guys an ultimatum to win versus giving that number 3 pick overall to a new general manager and new head coach, which would have taken a quarterback, and who knows where history would be right now. So that's the main issue, and I'm glad that we're out of that we're out of those days now. I'm glad, and Jeff Okudah was part of those days. I'm glad he's gone. I really am. Now you did say one thing this morning, and I'll shut up, about Herschel Walker being drafted in the 5th round. I wanted to correct you on that. Herschel Walker had to, because I watched that draft, he had already said he was going to play in the USFL. A lot of those guys did. So teams weren't taking these players. Teams weren't taking these players very high. They were just taking them just in case they wanted to come back to the NFL, they owned their rights. And that's what ended up happening with Herschel Walker. So he should have been, a top 5, top 10 pick, even the first overall. I can't remember who went. I want to say Hugh Green went that year from Pittsburgh, the defensive end, but I could be wrong on that. So that's why Herschel Walker went later in the draft. So the USFL was very people see USFL today, they didn't see it in 1982. It was incredible, an incredible league, incredible players, and it was serious. Not like today. It's totally different. So that's all I really wanted to say about the Jeff Okudah thing. So I'm glad he's gone. I would have been happy if they got a 7th round pick, Anthony. I really mean that. I do.
Wow, 7th rounder. Holy mackerel. All right, there's Freddie. All right, Freddie, I hope you have a great day, and don't burn anybody's pizza today, all right? Thought he might like that on the way out. Yeah, I mean, Herschel was still drafted in the 5th round. That doesn't I do understand that he began his career there at the USFL. That was obviously before my time, but still in the 5th. And the extenuating circumstances that surrounded the USFL and the NFL and how things went about it. But yes, that is why he dropped all the way to round 5. But it's not to say that 5th rounders can't be, valuable and that they can't be, along that laundry list of guys that I sent earlier, guys like Mark Brunell in the 5th round who had a wonderful career. So it's it's feasible. It is feasible. To the Jeff Okudah thing. It's not, I believe that after the Green Bay game, we did mention the fact that he did not play in that game and that he only played 17 snaps against Chicago. So there was obviously something going on there where they thought that he had taken a step backwards. I'm not really too worried about it. Like I said, I mean, had he been on this team going into next year, I'll say it right now, and I stand by it, that, yeah, I would have been, okay, let's see what you got. If you're going to be on the team, I'm going to be supportive of you until, it's clear that this isn't working. And if it's not working, then we gotta call it like we see it. That's why I don't give up on Jared Goff, because he's on this team. He's playing the best, some of the best football he's ever played, and it's working. So I'll continue to support it until things go awry. And then when things go awry, just call it like I see it. Good morning, Bros. Thanks for a great morning. Sitting back on the porch listening to the Birds and the Bros. Thanks for the hard work. That's Nate on YouTube. Wow. Birds and the Bros. I like that. Backyard Birdies Golf on YouTube. Freddie cracks me up, critiquing USDA Scott's call for rambling. And then goes to ramble himself. It says you're contradictory. The guy is a walking contradiction. Oh, Backyard Birdies. Come on now. Brian on YouTube said back-to-back Freddie and Scott. Best callers on any show. That's from Brian on YouTube. Look, here's the deal. When it comes to the Jeff Okudah stuff, I think, and it all depends on who they select at 5 or what they do with that pick, if it's packaged and sent elsewhere. But if that is the case, the Lions did what they had to do. They freed up some cap space. They're on the hook for a little bit of it. You don't have that 11.5 roughly, hanging over your head on the extension. And you can get better and you can find his replacement early on in this draft upcoming. And, one other thing I saw when, guys were yelling at me about, we got to get Odell Beckham, right? These designer sports fans. Our entire wide receiver room, minus Marvin Jones Jr., is less expensive than Odell is this year. Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Khalif Raymond, who was, ultra valuable, can not only catch it off the line of scrimmage, but did great work in the special teams department. Quintez Cephas, he looks like he might be the odd man out, but he does factor into the payment here. You basically filled your entire room on the cost of one like that. That's why your general manager and understanding what's going on and understanding the salary cap. That's why all of this is so important. And you can't just go out there and poach big names. It just does not work. We're going to hit the break. We'll be right back. Want to get into a little bit of the NBA play-in stuff from last night. Plus, let's fire up the mock draft machine, shall we? Let's get it going. We're going to put out the link, and we want your best mock drafts as we look forward to draft week. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network.
Godsmack, live and in your face. Friday, May 26th at Soaring Eagle Casino. Plus Bad Wolves. And same show, same night, Bullet for My Valentine. Tickets start at $28. On sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. Party hard, rock harder. Godsmack, May 26th. Part of the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! James! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Huge here for my good friend Tom Rosenbach and his team at Bean Carter. They're one of America's top accounting and business firms. They're based in downtown Grand Rapids, and now they're stronger than ever before with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew. Now, Dorn Mayhew is an east side firm. Now you get the west side of Michigan with Bean Carter, and whether you're a small business or big business, they can handle all of your accounting and business needs at Bean Carter. Just go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I mentioned with their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew, they cover all of Michigan, the Midwest, and coast to coast. Find out how the pros at Bean Carter can help your business today. Go to beancarter.com. That is BEENEGARTER.com. And I know Tom Rosenbach and his team are so happy about their new partnership with Dorn Mayhew.
Share your thoughts all morning long on the Meyer Guest Line. Call 248-951-2176. That's 248-951-2176. Now, back to Danny, Ryan, and AB.
Hey, folks, a reminder, play in action. You got nothing tonight, big games tomorrow. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code HUGE, promo code HUGE. You can bet $5 pregame money line with $150 in bonus bets when your team wins. Now, if you were somebody who knows a gambling problem, wants help, needs help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, would you? 800-270-7117. That's the number. 21 plus, Michigan only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they issue it to you. Opt-in is required. One bonus bet issued based on the amount of the initial losing NBA bet. Losers can be winners too. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions to apply. See terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Dan with a little tease here for everybody. A little NFL Films music. Shout out to the crew at Hard Knocks. I forget how many Emmys they were nominated for training camp with the Detroit Lions, but continue to do a wonderful job. Not even sure when the Emmys are, or maybe it's Oscars. I don't know what they're up for. They're Emmys. Emmys are TV, Oscars are film. I knew that. All the Quiet on the Western Front was nominated for all the Oscars. Of course. I tried to tell you people to go watch it. It's on Netflix. You didn't have to go to the theater. Although, I would have loved to have seen that in theaters. Absolutely loved it. Great to be with you. And once again, out of all the chatter and nonsense you hear in the world, and there's a lot of it in today's game, this right here, no matter what you think and where your feelings are at on Jeff Okudah and Brad Holmes and Sheila Ford and Matt Patricia and Dwayne Casey, A.J. Hinch, the Ilitch family, Dylan Larkin, whatever you are upset about, angry about, you love Tom Izzo, you hate Juwan Howard, whatever the case may be. This is a place for you as a sports fan where you could come and just let it out, right? And you might find that somebody out there actually agrees with you. That somebody could be me, could be Ryan, could be Dan, could be somebody you don't even know. But if you got to get some stuff off your chest, this is a good place to do it. We are the safe space. And no, we're not one of those rooms where you hug a teddy bear when things are going wrong in this, snowplow society that we live in. No, it's not that. But you can come here and vent anytime you need to get some stuff off your chest. I wanted to rally back to Freddie's call here for a moment. Because I understand with Jeff Okudah being picked at 3, okay, what if the Lions would have, what if they would have let Quinn and Patricia go and not put them in win now mode and get to that photograph that was taken with Sheila Hemp's head in her hands up in the box suite. Instead of going Jeff Okudah at 3, you could have went with Justin Herbert. I get it. 94 touchdowns, only 35 interceptions, 14,000 yards, just 49 games. Like, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Add another 8 touchdowns on the ground. The guy's gone over 100 touchdowns in 43 games. The guy's a real deal. He is. And had they gone that way, they had Matthew Stafford, we wouldn't be where we're at today. And that's part of the perspective of things, right? Everything happens for a reason, really the butterfly effect. And it happens all day long, all throughout your life and all throughout your sports fandom. Without the Pistons, if the Pistons would have taken the step, if Cade Cunningham never gets hurt, and the Pistons take the step, and we as a fan base and as a community decide that, you know what, we're not okay with a 17-win season because that's just god-awful. We're not okay with that. This team, Cade's shin doesn't blow off, and they end up being OKC. That's great. I'd be all for that. The Thunder, in the play-in game for the 9-10s, advanced last night. That could have been us, right? That could have been us. But Cade's shin broke, and the whole season got derailed. They sat everybody at the end of the year. They pulled out the Sherman tank, and we find ourselves with an opportunity to get Victor Wembanyama. Whatever happens from here on out is yet to be determined, but that's all part of the game. A lot of these moments in time, right, I'm very willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. right? Unless I see something immediately where I'm like, this ain't going to work, I'm willing to watch this as long as possible. The Tigers, for example, I looked at their roster, I looked at the offseason, and I didn't need to see anything to tell you this ain't going to work. So whatever your expectations are, lower them. Lower them. There's no point in you even getting worked up about any of it. Don't be mad about it. Team is god awful. Tonight, the Boston Bruins have an opportunity to beat the Montreal Canadiens in Montreal and win 65 games this season. This is what Chris, one of our avid, faithful listeners, sent me. Big Boston Bruins fan. Cam Neely, Ray Bork, and those guys. The Tigers aren't going to hit 65 wins. The Boston Bruins are going to win more games in their season than the Tigers are in theirs, and the Tigers get double the opportunities. It's just not going to happen. Right? With Jeff Okudah, you have, it's not an excuse when it's the reality of the situation. Core muscle surgery, a blown Achilles tendon, a lost off season due to COVID. All of these things play a factor. The people that say to me, well, you can't bring up the COVID stuff anymore because it doesn't matter. Look at college basketball right now and tell me that year does not matter. Anybody who is on a college roster right now, or on a college roster at that point, gets an extra year. It absolutely matters. Anybody who played professional baseball, right? Your MLB guys lost a half a season, not a big deal. But all your guys in your farm system, they weren't doing anything. What are you doing, working out on your own? You got to walk outside in a hazmat suit? You got flippers on and a scuba mask? Because we're all going to die of the plague? You lost an entire year of development. It matters. It absolutely matters. Guys that lost training camp. If you were at the professional level, if you weren't in the college game at that point and you were en route to becoming a professional, if you were in your rookie, that was going to be your rookie offseason, or if you were in the minor leagues, it absolutely makes a difference. It's a lost year. You can look at it in your personal life. Look at your kids. Do you think taking them out of school for that long, do you think that was a great choice? Or would you say no, well, I don't know if it's a great choice, but they definitely are a step behind now. It's going to take some time to catch up. It's going to take a lot of work. That's what it is. And so with Jeff Okudah, I was willing to be as patient as possible because he was the third overall pick. The guy can play. He can play football. And he might go to Atlanta. He might have a great career. He might have sent smirky face emoji, double bird emoji. He might have put out a GIF instead of thanking anybody who, was rooting for him. That's fine. He was on the team. I was going to pull for him. Evan Brown was a guy. Evan Brown's impact on this team, what he meant to this team, is huge. This team doesn't win games without Evan Brown. You might be thinking to yourself, who the hell is that? Well, offensive lineman that got his opportunity because, Big Hal Vitae, Halapulavati Vitae. You say it more often, it gets easier to say. It's good practice. Big V was done. And so you had to have a guy that stepped in and, I had heard that he was a Hank Fraley kind of guy, but not necessarily a Dan Campbell guy. No longer on the team. Dan Skipper, great story. What he meant to this club. There are some things there that, and if Evan Brown would have re-signed, I would have kept that to myself. I wouldn't have said anything. But he's off to, different pastures, and that's totally fine. And I appreciate what he brought to this team. But I'm going to give everybody on the squad the benefit of the doubt until I see something that doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, I'm out on it. Right? DeAndre Swift, so much potential shown. So much potential shown. It's not working. David Montgomery's been brought in. He's immediately your number one. Maybe DeAndre Swift will be healthy at some point and will be able to sustain the contact of an NFL football season. His body won't fail him, and he'll have a really good year this year, and it'll make us all kind of recalibrate, reassess where we're at in the running back room. That could be. I'm rooting for him. But at the same time, I understand. Like, at the end of the year, we got to cut ties. We got to cut ties. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, and then you add Marvin Jones Jr. Well, there's your 5 right there. I'm very comfortable at wide receiver. Tight end, well, hey, look, Brock Wright was the one who caught that great pass against the Jets. Shane Zylstra, James Mitchell, the draft pick, showed some flashes last year in limited minutes. I like him a lot, got good size. Like, I'm comfortable because tight end, like, how is it used in our offense? Offensive line continues, like, look, they had Graham Glasgow, Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell. If they're healthy, I will stand by this. This is going to be a top 5 offensive line in the league. And you're adding David Montgomery, who did his damage behind that sieve of a line of the Chicago Bears. I think you're going to see a great number from him this year. Defensively, I'm not giving up hope on Derek Barnes because you see him and you're like, man, you could really do something crazy here. Alex Anzalone, good leader, veteran presence. Malcolm Rodriguez, love his value. I love his value. The fact that he was able to go in there, make plays on special teams, make tackles on defense, like we need linebackers that can run sideline to sideline and tackle. Is he a good story? Sure. I didn't fall in love with him because of Hard Knocks. I don't care if he shows up in Wrangler jeans and a cowboy hat. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is he, much like James Houston, come in out of the 6th round and contribute. I like John Kaminsky. Guy had to play the whole season with oven mitts on his hands. Broke his hands. Like, it's still out there playing. You don't go after the big name in Jalen Ramsey. Instead, you get C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You get Cam Sutton. You get Emmanuel Mosley to pair with Jerry Jacobs and Will Harris. Tracy Walker coming back. Chase Lucas showed us some things. Where does Melon Fonwu fit in the mix? I feel pretty good about this team. Pretty good. All I'm saying is if Willis was picked here, he would be praised for developing and waiting on getting his chance versus calling him a bust. So let's go back in history like that 5th round list and look at the players who played great after year 2 of their careers. The Lions have plenty of those players over the years, Scott Mitchell being one guy. If you are going back into the 5th round list and looking at players who got great after year 2 of their careers, that is completely different than a guy who is drafted at number 2. That guy drafted at number 2 is Ryan Leaf. Like that's what we're looking at. When you are selected in the 1st round of the NFL draft, you are expected to be an immediate impact player. You are supposed to have the goods to be a starter today. If you're picking in the top half of that draft, the Jordan Love to Green Bay situation is interesting to see if that, what happens there and how things will end up playing out. But you can't compare the guy that's picked at number 2 overall to a guy picked in the 5th round. Like, that just doesn't, no. That's a value thing. That's why Malcolm Rodriguez, in my opinion, is great. That's why James Houston, in my opinion, is great. Because they're 6th rounders. That's what makes them great. The value, right, that you absorb in that contract when you sign them as a 6th round pick is drastically different than number 2. It's not even the same ballpark. It's a 1st rounder versus everybody else, completely different situation. But Tua gets ridiculed when his owner put him back out there with the concussions. I don't think his owner put him out there. I don't think the owner, that's coaching and management. You have to stay healthy. And if you're going to have multiple brain injuries, I don't know if that's really going to work for you. I'm just saying. Today is Dan Campbell's 47th birthday. Is that true?
Yeah, why would I lie?
Oh, I didn't know if somebody just put that in there.
No, I put that in there.
You put that in there. Wow. Happy birthday, Coach. We love to see it. Love Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell was on our squad. He gets picked to be the next head coach of the Detroit Lions. And then Brad Holmes is hired. And those are the guys that are a part of this organization. So I want them to be successful. If it's not working, sure, we'll say it's not working. But the Danimal and Brad Holmes, you got to give some things some time to see if it works. You're never going to be able to figure it out in the first year at the head coach and general manager. Like some of these things take time. Other things, you can hit it right on the head. Killian Hayes, not a 7th overall pick. I'm not shy about saying it. Dylan Larkin, not worth $10 million a year. 8 3/4, kind of high. All right, let's get to Danny in Brighton. He is on hold right now. Good morning, Danny. How are you?
It's, again, every day is a holiday. It's a gorgeous day, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I just want to make sure you're okay because of the Jeff Okudah thing, which apparently is just like cast a pall over all these sports fans in Detroit. And what am I missing? What am I missing here? Why is this such a big stinking deal for? I know he was picked third, but he was not the second coming. He wasn't even the coming.
Well, as Jeff Risdon told us in hour number 2, he is not viewed as the 3rd overall pick across the NFL. He's just viewed as Jeff Okudah at this point. Can you play or not? That's what they need to find out. That's now Atlanta's task at hand, is to figure out, hey, we trade away a 5th rounder. We get a guy that has shown some potential to be a starting corner. What can we do with him when we get our hands on him, right?
You made an interesting point about being a Dan Campbell guy. I don't think he was. I don't know that DeAndre Swift is either. I kind of sense like from when we watched Hard Knocks last year, you could see his frustration with him with his little, nicks and cuts, and like, okay, all right, I got you, and Deuce Staley, God bless him, is talking them all up, but I don't know that he's that guy, and I really think that if our boy from Texas is available at 18, he's coming to Detroit, and that would be fine.
And here's the thing about DeAndre Swift. I think what the coaching staff saw was the talent in order to be great.
Right.
But just because you got that talent doesn't mean that you're going to go out there and be great. And that's what's frustrating from a coaching standpoint.
I don't know that he wants to be great.
It's a good question, because you can kind of want to do something, but are you committed to doing that?
Are you in it?
We're going to find out real fast, Danny and Brighton. We're going to find out real fast this year, because if they draft running back first round and just added David Montgomery, I mean, that exit sign is on the door.
So, speaking of the mock draft universe, do you see? Because I cannot imagine the Tennessee Titans being so freaking stupid as to draft Anthony Richardson at 4.
Oh yeah, they're doing it twice. They're going to make the same mistake twice, according to Mel Kiper. Danny, well, let's pick this up tomorrow, shall we? I got to tell everybody about Tullymore real quick. Tullymore Golf Resort in Canadian Lakes, Michigan, an hour north of Grand Rapids, 30 minutes west of Mount Pleasant. The perfect space to go. 2 courses, lodging, everything you need is right there at Tullymore. So give my guy Matt Golden, here's his number, 1-800-972-4837, his personal cell phone number, 1-800-972-4837. Call Matt Golden, and right now, book your stay and play at Tullymore today. For Dan and Ryan, I'm Anthony. So long. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
Imagine this, winning big at Soaring Eagle. Spin the money wheel and win up to $100,000 cash. Every Saturday in April from 5 to 11 p.m., one winner each hour will spin for the win and take home up to $100,000. Whirl in for $100,000 money wheel. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
From the biggest of big games to the littlest of the little.
There you go! No, first base! Go, run!
Whenever you shop Meijer, you help support hundreds of local sports teams across the Midwest. From some of the biggest stadiums in the state to the familiar fields down the street. You're helping make a difference to the people and places you call home. Learn more at Meijer.com/community.
Huge here for all the Mr. Car Wash locations. I think there's close to 30 across the Huge Radio Network. For the one close to you, go to MrCarWash.com, and there you can join their Unlimited Wash Club. Now, this is a quick and convenient way to keep your car shining all the time. It's everything you love about getting your car washed in a simple, easy-to-use, affordable plan. As an Unlimited Wash Club member, you will enjoy all the benefits of washing as often as you like, no long-term contract, convenient monthly billing, and now you can be rest assured with a contactless visit. So go to MrCarWash.com right now, sign up for their Unlimited Wash Club Pass, and that means you can get your car washed at any Mr. Car Wash location across the Huge Radio Network or anywhere in America. And for the location close to you across the Huge Radio Network, you can also log on to MrCarWash.com. Have you ever played golf at Tullymore, St. Ives? Have you experienced a stay-and-play package in Canadian Lakes, Michigan, less than an hour north of Grand Rapids? Well, here's what you need to do if you want to take advantage of great deals right now. Go to TullymoreGolf.com. That's TullymoreGolf.com, and you'll see the link for packages, accommodations, dining, meetings, weddings, events, and so much more, and especially golf on the 18-hole layout at Tullymore and the 18 holes at St. Ives. And they can accommodate any group, whether it's 2 people getting together or 200 looking for a weekend or an overnight celebration. That includes a little business, golf, great food, and beverages. Just go to TullymoreGolf.com. That's TullymoreGolf.com. They're located in Canadian Lakes, Michigan. Less than